And we also had NASA coming out to say it is now impossible to actually verify the decision, even from the ballot boxes, which have been tampered with. But that is a decision, of course, that has already, been factored in by the court. Let's move on to now what is next for the IEBC, which will have to conduct this election. Let me come to you, Kevin.
For for IEBC, there are lots of things, because one, there are lessons learned, and I liked the statement by the chairman. He came and said we're inviting the DPP to be able now to come in, and given what the court has already said, we want to wait for the full ruling in 21 days. We want to look at it. In the meantime, we invite the DPP to come, because we are talking about criminal cases here. The fact that people are even destroying ballot papers, the fact that people are not signing papers, the fact that you have double signatures, people signing for others, impersonation of signatures, all these issues are really criminal to that extent. And the fact that the chairman of the commission is now inviting the DPP, I think for me is a positive gesture. That, from as far as the commission is concerned, I hope my friend Chiloba will also come and speak for the secretariat, and because a lot of these issues, really, from the chairman's perspective, were much more administrative than decision-making issues. And that, therefore, presents a platform or a space for the CEO also to be able to present his case and say, this is what we think. And not again, Michelle and all of us, that elections are not done in a vacuum. Elections are multi-sectoral processes. And I'm happy because our organization was also involved in this process in an extent to be able to just look at what is happening and how we learn lessons. And I think that IEBC was really meticulous in the work that they were doing. And there may be a lot of gaps that were missed, and I think that if we are moving into the next process in the next 58 days, then those are gaps that if the commission is willing to be able to address them as fast as they can, then let them accept, or rather bring in this platform that can be able to not only inform the citizens about step by step of what is happening within the election preparedness, which they did anyway, but especially the political parties. NASA has said that IEBC will not be able to run these elections. Right. I don't see that happening, because not that the commissioners, I mean IEBC also enjoys a security of tenure. It's a six-year one-term period. And the Constitution, I think in Article 140, presents what needs to be done in the event that commissioners have been deemed to be incompetent or should be basically the removal of commissioners from office. It's going to be a long process which will not take place in the next 60 days. So NASA, in my view, and all the political players and all the people who will participate in this process need to begin thinking about how do we do this election with this current IEBC, number one. Number two, NASA was at the forefront of pushing out the former commission. And a special team was put in place, a joint parliamentary select committee, within our process, which was also safeguarded within the Constitution and other supporting legislative frameworks. What this, in my view, means is that do we want to go back to the same joint select process to be able to bring in both Parliament, Senate, and the National Assembly to be able to generate a select committee? How long will this take? Because note that we are doing this within 60 days, which means that even in the 48th day, IEBC can say elections are happening on the 52nd day because they have up to 60 days. So I think that we have a lot of work to do insofar as moving on to the next 58 days is concerned. Lots of lessons to be learned for IEBC, including even the process of recruiting its staff. We don't want to see people being killed because of elections. We don't want to lose IEBC officials. We don't want to lose Kenyans. We just want to have an election that we can be able to say, I'll go cast my vote and go back to work and wait for... and
it will be free, fair, and credible.
Exactly.
Dr. Mukwana, just before I come to you, Kugucha, already we've seen NASA say we want Wafula Chebukati to resign. We want Ezra Chiloba to have legal action taken against him. This team cannot conduct elections. Wafula Chebukati, on the other hand, says, I did not hear the court find any culpability on my individual, on my part as an individual. Where do we begin? Because this is a lot of pressure and a lot of back and forth, again, between IEBC and the opposition.
Thanks, Michelle. First of all, I empathize with the Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta. Because in the decision of the Supreme Court, he was not found culpable in any way. In other words, they did not say that he was responsible for the problems that bedeviled the election.
Right.
So poor chap, he has done his bit. He has spent a lot of money. He has spent a lot of time. And he thought he had scored the goal, only to be told, hey, guys, that was an offside goal.
You have to go back.
Okay? So I understand his displeasure, his discomfort, and he's clearly expressed it. Not in very comfortable style to some of us, but look, he is distressed, and that's to be understood. On the part of Honorable Raila Odinga, they have said that they are not going to the election in the 60 days with IEBC. That, to me, is an anticlimax of what the court gave them. Because believe you me, if you have lived in this country long enough, and if you understand Honorable Raila Odinga, he has been described here as a frontline fighter. He's clearly digging in. And when Honorable Raila digs in, be prepared for the long fight. It is not feasible to have the IEBC go home in 16 days. Constitutionally, it is not. What will happen is that they will dig in, and Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, more specifically his deputy, is also digging in on the other side. So the risk that we run as a country is that 60 days will be here, they'll be fighting, and the country will be thrown into a constitutional crisis. If you lived in this country in the 90s, we had something similar to that, and we had to operate outside the constitution where the parliamentarians came together and formed the IPPG.